Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Storytelling Chronicles. I'm your host, the Bodacious Cowboy. We got a great show today. Good friend Charlie Safro from CS Recruiting will be joining us. So let's go.
Life, lessons, logistics. Let's go.
Hello again, and welcome to the Storytelling Chronicles. It is Monday, September 11th. Just want to take a moment here, to say my prayers to all the people and friends that I personally lost on this day 22 years ago. So my heart goes out to those families out there that are still feeling the effects from that god-awful day. But today, we have a great show. I have Charlie Safro joining. She's the CEO and founder of CS Recruiting. We're going to be talking about remote corporate work environments. Are we still productive in a remote environment compared to a corporate one? So let's welcome Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
How are you? Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to have you on today. Over the past several months, I've been reading posts. You've been reading posts. You've been putting posts out there. You're in the recruiting arena, of course, about remote corporate work environments. Are we productive remotely? How do we measure that? And what are your thoughts about that?
You're opening up a can of worms here, Jeff. But if you want to hear my thoughts, I am pro flexibility, put it that way. In the industry we're in, I want to be very mindful that not every opportunity makes sense remote. I mean, there are facilities, there are terminals, we need boots on the ground. It's those people who keep our freight moving. However, I am very pro flexibility. And I think the most obvious way, when possible, to offer flexibility is through either a remote or a hybrid work environment. I think flexible work environments build trust. Trust builds engagement and happiness. Engagement and happiness lead to productivity. So it's a very simple formula that if you trace it back to the beginning, it's trusting people to get their work done, even if that means it's not a 9-to-5 schedule in a cubicle where their boss sees them all day.
Absolutely. It's that, and I've been on both sides. So I'm just honest, and my integrity is first and foremost. I just think it's that management aspect of their employees and having hands-on and seeing them walk through the door and sitting in their cubicle, that they don't have that power and that control, which kind of, makes that remote possibility kind of remote, so to speak, because they want them in house. They want to see what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, always overseeing them. Now I'm going to go back to the pandemic. Let's go back to the pandemic when all these corporate offices and warehouses, some were closed. Yet, over that period of time, those people that were forced to work remotely got work done. It was proven that employees can be very productive on a daily basis, meet those goals and objectives, and yet they want to force them back into the office. I get that, and there's another thing too that comes to mind. Have you ever homeschooled your kids?
I haven't homeschooled them, but they were doing their schoolwork from home, on and on throughout 2020 and I believe on and off in 21 as well. So I know what it's like to oversee children that are trying to complete schoolwork in a home environment. I would never have the patience to actually be the educator.
Right. But there's so many women out there, that are burning the candles at both ends. They're homeschooling their kids, they're working, yet their kids are learning. They're learning quickly. Some of them are graduating high school at 15 and 16, and it's not even unheard of at 14. And these kids are going off to Ivy schools. They're going off to Notre Dame, they're going to Harvard, Princeton, MIT. I mean, they're smart kids. So it tells me that even at a young age, that kids and adults can learn and still be highly productive and take their careers to higher levels if their employers would let them do so.
Yeah. I also think, I mean, there's something to be said there, and this is something I learned about myself in the pandemic, is when you have the luxury of learning or working in your home environment, there is a different level of confidence that I never realized I didn't have in the office, but it was being in the comfort of my own home, knowing that when I hung up the call, I could grab food from my kitchen, I could change my shirt, I could brush my teeth, I could take a shower, and I think that has shaped me a lot. And when I think of children, I mean, the school system is not always a friendly place for every child. It's intimidating. There's bullies sitting in a classroom. You might not be able to see the board or understand your teacher. And so whether it's, working with a parent one-on-one in person, or you're even doing your schooling through a screen, I have to believe that, like, when it comes to doing the work or the test taking, I know for myself, there's a different sense of confidence because I'm in the comfort of my home. And it's very different than the comfort of my own office, even though it was still a place of familiarity, a place I went every day. There's just something about being home that works for me. It might not be for everyone, but for me and many of my team members, I've really seen them thrive more behind the screen than I ever did when we worked face to face.
Right, right. And I think one of the biggest debates, especially with children who were homeschooled or during the pandemic, forced to stay at home and learn, was, yeah, they were getting by academically, but socially they were missing that, in those critical learning years of how to be social. Yeah, a lot of them, unfortunately, not a big fan when you have smaller kids, with that social media. I don't believe in it in younger kids, because I think it takes away from their learning abilities. But just like after school, if you went to school, they have the activities. The homeschool kids also had the same type of activities available for them, where if they wanted to go out and join a baseball team or a football team, or go bowling or soccer, or playing field hockey, whatever, it was available to them. So I don't think that there's a social issue as far as learning and being able to socialize with people when it comes to the work environment. I think adults will get by and they'll still learn. And I kind of use myself as an example, right? 35 years in the corporate arena, dealing with people every single day, going to meetings every single day. Were they productive? Well, I don't know about that, but it seemed like you're always getting pulled off. But now, since I'm working for myself and I have a partner in St. Augustine, Florida, I find, just like you said, I can roll out of bed in my pajamas or shorts. I can get behind my desk. I don't have to worry about transportation, catching a bus, driving an hour and a half to get to work, my lunch hour, meetings, all of those things that could be spent sitting and working. So I automatically gained at least 40 to 50 hours a month easily working. So that's why, that big debate is, can you still work in a remote environment, be highly productive, get more work done in a shorter period of time, rather than in that corporate office environment? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time, that our decision to go fully remote, there was some weight based on my personal preference. And I joke like maybe I'm selfish because it works for me. I want it to work for everyone. But Steve Jobs used to wear a black turtleneck every day. And if you really read into the meaning behind it, the way he described it was, what a waste of energy for me to walk into a closet of options and have to decide. And no offense, but he's a man. So in a woman's world, that might be 6 different changes till you figure out what you want to wear and what looks best. And that transfers into everything. Like when I used to go to an office every day, get dressed head to toe, have a face of makeup, my hair had to look good for my meetings for the day. Then I go downstairs into my kitchen and I had to have my kids' lunches made. And then I had to think about at 6 in the morning what I was going to eat for lunch. And then I would run out of the house and forget a water bottle. And it was like all that energy that I expended in the morning, just leaving my house because I wouldn't be home for 8 more hours. I have now saved in my reserve. And I'm not saying that every employee needs to take that saved energy and apply it to work, but there's no question that it just makes us more balanced, mentally well beings when, like I joke about this, but if I only have to put on a shirt and I don't have to worry about my shoes matching and my pants and the belts, like it's saved energy in the morning. And then not to mention having the convenience of accessing everything I need in my home, there's a huge energy savings there. And I choose to put that energy back into my work. So, and I think a lot of my employees do too. And it goes so much more beyond just the time that you spend commuting. I mean, that's a very obvious waste of energy, waste of time, but all the things that we do that create stress in the morning just because we realize this is whatever I leave this house with is all I have for 8 hours versus the luxury of like, I'll drive my kids to school now. I'll come home. I don't think about lunch till 12 o'clock. And when I'm ready to think about it, I've got options. I'm not stressing about what I brought or what's still sitting on my front,
Right.
passenger seat in my car. So there's a lot of value to saving that energy.
Oh, definitely. And come on, be honest. You're doing all that kind of stuff already, right? I mean, you're wearing shorts and stuff like that because
Oh
you're
yeah,
comfortable. You're
exactly.
comfortable. And if you don't want to eat at 12 and you want to do it at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, you're going to do it. You want to snack in the afternoon, no worries. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, have an apple, whatever, go to your kitchen, grab something out of the fridge. You're going to do it. Where in a corporate environment, you don't have that luxury of just leaving your desk and going to wherever you want, feel comfortable. And if you want to take 10 minutes, so what? You want to take a half an hour, so what? But it just doesn't happen. Um, there was some statistics out there, and sorry, I don't have them in front of me. I wasn't well equipped, but they did a study. I'm not sure if you know about this over the period of time about remote work, this work. Corporate work environments and which one was productive. And they find that there was a huge increase in remote work and their productivity level and their happiness level. They're measuring so many different things that we're discussing right here. And I found that, not alarming because I kind of knew that. I think you know that too. I mean, just from what we were talking about. But why aren't corporations moving more towards that? I mean, when you think about the brick and mortar, right? Think about the logistics industry and retail shops, right? They were all closed down. Everybody was remote and they were working or furloughed or whatever. They shut down, but yet e-com grew like there was no tomorrow. People got very comfortable ordering over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And they learned to survive and live, and they did that. Think about all that money that was saved by corporate, right? Of not having those brick and mortars and paying those salaries, of having them man, those buildings,
Mm-hmm.
or as long as they did savings on the lights. They didn't have to put the lights on, right? I mean, so what are your thoughts? I mean, I know you're in the recruiting area, and it's tough because this is your business, your forte, and you rely on corporations reaching out to CS and saying that, I need a few bodies to fill these specific areas. But if it was remote, would you still be as busy as you are right now? I know it's a tough question because the area that you're working in, but what would you do?
I mean, I think I don't think our busyness would change because at the end of the day, we're hired for the same reason, and that's finding the best person for our client's vacancy, whatever it is, wherever it's vacant. I actually think we would have more control on the quality. And that is at the end of the day what every employer wants. They don't just want a body, they can go out and find their own body. They want the right body. And I mean, that's always been my theory. When you think of it, we can go and recruit the best LTL pricing analyst in your 20-mile radius, or we can hire the best LTL pricing analyst in the country. Which one do you want? And there could be a very big difference in talent. Now, in the Chicago market, it could end up being the same person, and you might hire the best person in the country happens to live 10 miles from your office. But when we're working with clients, and there are many of them in, less populated markets, really markets that don't have a ton of competition with talent pools that they've bred, that's what you really have to think about is, in a way, especially if you're in a small market, you're settling for the best talent in your zip code or in your 5-mile radius. And a lot of clients' expectations just aren't there yet. They want the best of the best, but they have to be in the middle of nowhere and be able to get there every day. And unless they wanted to relocate them, which would cost a pretty penny, and not everyone wants to move there, there's a lot of consideration. So to me, it's very logical. If you really want the best talent, you have to think beyond your radius. It
Right.
doesn't always mean that you're looking globally. It doesn't mean that you're looking nationally. I mean, our firm, we have been remote since 2020, and we still stick pretty close to hiring in the state of Illinois. And the reason we do that is because we still value our face-to-face get-togethers. So it makes it a lot easier. It's, quarterly for people to come in, and, we're in the same state. We might not all be within 5 miles, but you can put some restrictions on what remote looks like. But to us, remote is not having an office and still being very connected and very productive.
Right. So, being that it's a really bad bear market and the economy is not where we need it, is that affecting your business as far as people recruiting outside of the state and paying that almighty dollar to relocate them, relocation cost, the training, all of this? Are you seeing an increase or a decrease in that area?
For relocation, definitely a decrease. And a couple of reasons why. I think you hit the nail on the head there, that there's uncertainty, there's fear of stability. People aren't going to pick up and move as easy as they used to. Now, on the flip side, employers are in control now. So if there are job seekers that this is their dream job, or they are really in need of a job and it requires them to relocate, I think maybe the candidates are a little more open just given the market and the conditions. But a lot of companies are also evaluating, we could move this person and their family and take a huge risk and spend thousands of dollars getting them settled in our location, or we could let them work remote, or we could let them work remote and maybe put that budget towards bringing them in and putting them up at a hotel for 1 week a month. And now, they're in the office a week a month or every other week for 2 nights. And so I think leaders are getting a little more realistic and creative. So I'd say there's probably less desire to relocate, and it's on both sides. But the candidates are maybe a little more willing, just given the state of the market. But if we have another great resignation, we're going to see the exact opposite. Candidates are going to stay where they want, and the jobs are going to come to them because they'll be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. So, are you seeing corporations out there consolidating headcounts, increasing responsibility, and paying less?
Nah, I mean, there's a buzzword for that, quiet hiring right now. And it's that exact notion of companies that are eliminating positions and then really divvying those responsibilities amongst current team members to take on. I am very proud of the way we do it at our company, and I'll be the first person. Like we say we are quiet hiring, and right now we are looking for, someone who really is excited about social media, who wants to help our team and manage our Instagram account. We're looking for someone who's really excited about helping build our partnership program. And with that, I mean, we take it very seriously. When somebody agrees to additional responsibilities, we rewrite their job description. It's very clear what they're agreeing to, what the expectations are. In some cases, they're eligible for an increase in compensation immediately. In some cases, it might be, let's give it a try for 3 months. And if this is something we're going to stick to full time, this is the, the allocation. So I personally think for our team, it's helped people advance. It's given them a chance to showcase and upskill and really bring more to the job than we originally had them doing. And it's exciting to, especially like social media as an example. Everyone's on social media, and a lot of people get excited to think like, wait, this could be part of my job, and I can
Right.
apply what I do in my free time. I haven't seen companies necessarily paying less, because that would probably mean like they're cutting salaries or adjusting salaries. But I will say, and this isn't necessarily current, but we have to manage a lot of expectations. When we talk
Sure.
to clients, a lot of times they'll come in and they'll talk about, we have an account manager opening, but the job entails so much more than a traditional account manager. And that's where we have to really, help them understand, like, no one person can accomplish this in a day or a year. It's kind of like that player coach mentality. It's a very, very hard position to be a player and a coach at all times. So I think some companies are maybe like their expectations of what an individual can do, they get a little overzealous. And that could be really unhealthy if
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
is kind of stopping that or having that conversation before they go out to hire.
Right. And you hit the nail on the head, because you mentioned that they're not decreasing their salary, an annual salary, but they kind of are when you think about that, when they're consolidating headcounts and they're divvying up the responsibilities of those people that they cut, and now they're creating a whole new JD
Mhm.
for this open position that's increasing the responsibilities but not the salary. So you're kind of cutting the salary without saying it, adding on to those responsibilities, adding on to the pressure, like you were saying, to these individuals that are just looking to get their foot through the door more than ever right now because of everything that's going on. They just want to have that
Sure.
opportunity to, you know, sit in that chair and show what they've got. Will they succeed and will they last a long time? I don't know. Maybe some of them, and I don't think this is a stretch by any means. Maybe some of them are just trying to make what they can in the short period of time, that they can sustain that position until they're saying you're not making it. Sorry, you got to go.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to employees, if they are approached, is keep an open mind. Like, this could be a great opportunity to develop more skills, to prove yourself, to really maybe take something you're involved in or passionate about outside of work and bring it into the organization. But make sure, I would say, two really important things. One, that it's documented and it's very clear what you're going to do above and beyond, and it's also clear what that reward might look like. And again, it may not be your next paycheck, but it may be, in 3 months, we're going to evaluate this. Or, in 1 year, if you continue to perform, you'll be eligible for this next promotion. And I would just encourage employers to be very transparent about their intentions. Like, that we say that to our team all the time. This is not a full-time position. We're not going to go out and hire someone new. We just need someone's, 3 hours a week right now, and we may have the bandwidth. It's not about our capacity, it's about the exposure and giving someone else an opportunity to really shine and learn and take ownership. But again, our promise to them is that you will be very much in the know of what it entails, and we will have very clear guidelines in terms of how we'll measure it, and what you might be able to, what benefits may come from it.
Right. Now, when it comes to corporations reaching out to CS Recruiting or any other recruiters out there, have you seen over, let's just say, the last year, more expectations being put on your shoulders from a possible client saying, well, as long as you can guarantee that they'll stay on board for 90 days or 60 days, whatever it might be, and then we'll give you an extra bonus, or maybe you're saying something like that. Because I know that, I mean, different strokes for different folks, different recruiters, different capabilities, programs for payment, all that kind of stuff. Are you seeing that at all? And if so, what kind of different requirements are they asking for you right now compared to a year ago?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I think it's a big misunderstanding a lot in recruiting in general. CS Recruiting is primarily a contingent based agency. We offer a retained search model for executive level recruiting, but for most of our searches, it is very low risk. And the intention is that we share that risk with our clients. So we take on a search with the same goal. The goal is to get the right person in place and to do it as quickly as possible, but obviously allowing time for the process. And so our fees, our full recruiting fee is generally not due until that candidate's 60-day anniversary.
Okay.
So we are literally taking on the search, doing all the work, building the pipeline, evaluating the talent, representing the talent, the feedback, the negotiation. That person starts, and we still do not get paid unless they are there for a full 60 days. So if they left on day 12, we do not collect anything. The best we can ask for is that we resume the search and we're 1 foot ahead because we already have a pipeline and an understanding of, the type of talent they're attracted to. But the misnomer with recruiting is that, I mean, we're not wizards. Like, we cannot guarantee that someone is going to stay, and that's really not our job. Like, our job is to acquire talent. And so we do exactly what we say we're going to do. We, evaluate the market. We identify the pipeline of candidates that are qualified. We evaluate those candidates, and then we confirm that they're interested and available. And then we present them and represent them to our client. We can help them acquire talent. When it comes to retention, that's really up to that hiring company. I mean, we can sell the culture, which is part of retention. We can give our check-ins and communicate and make sure that everyone is, in the know and effectively communicating with each other. But we are not setting up a training program. I'm not responsible for making sure that that person walks in on day one and feels welcomed and has a laptop and, a login for their email. I can't be responsible for making sure that person's getting feedback from their manager so they can excel. And that's where I think the misnomer is a lot of these companies assume that, if they hire someone through us, it's a lifetime guarantee. Well, nothing's a lifetime guarantee. And we have to draw a line in the sand. We can help bring
Sure.
you, and through our process, we're very focused on trying to bring you people that will be able to be retained based on your culture and the characteristics we know that lead to retention. But everything is situational, and it's on the onus of really the hiring manager, the leadership team, to make that person stay. And where I would say this has changed the most in the last years with sales positions, where right now companies just have a very short tolerance for sales reps. Historically, everyone has always wanted someone to hit the ground running and pay for themselves in 3 months. And now it's just even less tolerance than usual, a very short leash that if on day 59 they're not exactly where they should be, we're seeing companies eliminate them because our recruiting fee is coming up. And you know
Right.
that saddens me because it's like, this
Yeah.
is an impossible market to sell in. Are you giving this person the right tools? Do they have the potential? Like, that is the real question. And how are you measuring their potential? Because if you're just basing it on how much revenue they've brought in since day one, it's really not always a fair assessment.
No, it's not. And it's a shame because you're a middleman. You really are in
Oh,
the
yeah.
recruiter, and you're only as good as what's being told to you. But I'm sure, and I'm going to go out on a limb because I think I know you. You're probably talking to your candidates and saying, okay, give me some feedback. Are you getting the proper training, or because that's what was told of me, that I related to you, that here's the orientation, here's what's going to happen from day one, because you're selling it, right? You're selling yourself, you're selling it to the candidate, and you're trying to back up the corporation that you're trying to help. But if that's not coming to fruition, you need to know that. And I'm sure, I'm almost positive that I bet you've had some candidates that got back to you and saying, you, not in these exact words, but what you sold me on isn't really happening. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that. They said I would need this. This is the benefit. I haven't seen it yet. You get back to these clients, right? And you have those conversations with them, hey, maybe, I misread something, or I didn't fully understand, but I thought.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to be somewhat careful and selective, because at the end of the day, you're right. Like, we are a middleman, and the moment that offer letter is signed, that is now their employee, and that employee is now loyal to them. And there are, certain conversations that we shouldn't be privy to. But in most situations, when, a very obvious one is the topic today, where a candidate is promised, oh yeah, we'll give you flexibility, whatever you need. You've got young kids, you'll be able to pick them up from school every day. And then someone starts and they're like, this is not what I was told. And I'm required to be here from 8 to 6 every day. And I feel like they just told me what I needed to hear to accept the job, and I'm not happy. And those are the situations where we have to get involved and have frank conversations. And it leads to one of two things. It leads to either a really grateful client for us calling attention to it, and then, being able to explain how that situation evolved and what they're going to do to resolve it. Or it leads to us maybe identifying a client that their values don't align with ours, and they kind of just like, well, maybe we said that, but we're allowed to change our minds. We're in control. We're the employer. And those are the companies we may choose not to work with. So a lot of times those conversations, as hard as they may be, they're very telling, and they can either really strengthen the relationship or potentially, kill the relationship, but sometimes it may be for the better.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. It's like, even when you're in sales and you're prospecting, like I always say, not all freight is good freight. Not all prospects are good prospects, because you're trying to weed them out and asking those pertinent questions, in the uncovering phase of the first communication that you have with them. Are you, like you said, are you congruent with them? Do you see eye to eye? Now, if you have a specific customer that you've been working with 5-10 years, that anytime that they had a spot open, they reached out to CS Recruiting to fill the void. Well, now there's a high probability that they're going to hire that specific candidate, because they've had a really good success rate over the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And that they're good. But then there's those newcomers that they're fishing around. They go to all these different recruiters. They look at their cost and what they have to offer and their programs and everything like that. And then they start bouncing, and then they start changing their mind at midstream. Those are the ones that you really don't need in your pipeline as a sales, because you're in sales too. I mean, you're selling, you're selling your company, yourself, and the candidates. And some people are just not trustworthy. Their integrity just sucks, and they'll say whatever you want to hear, which means nothing. Nothing. Is a complete waste of time and money for you.
It's so true. It's so true. I mean, let me ask you a question. I know you have a big network, lots of conversations. What are you hearing? And I'm probably more curious on the employee / job seeker side in your neck of the woods. Are you hearing of people who are craving that remote and craving that hybrid and the flexibility? Or do you have a lot of people in your network that are like, I will go into an office and work every day till the day I die, and that's what works best for me?
Well, I do. All my employees that I have, they're 1099s. Okay. And you'll probably laugh at this, but this is one thing that I believe strongly in. Okay. If you're really, really good at what you do, what's stopping you from going from remote and starting your own business if you've been in that if you've been in that vertical for so many years? What stops a person from doing that? It
Mm-hmm.
can't be the confidence, because you've had the confidence and you've been successful for all these years, so what would stop an individual from taking that leap of faith? It's kind of like alarming to me. I don't get that, because
Mm-hmm.
unlike a corporate environment where you get an annual salary, I mean, when you're in sales, there is no ceiling.
Right.
You can make it or break it however you want to do it, however you want to do your approach, and that's what I try to find out. This is funny. When I first started, I hired 20 people on 1099s.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me how many are still with me. Zero. Okay, because they overextended themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do it. When I first started in sales, and I suck in sales, and I'm telling you, it's just like, so how are you doing this, Jeff? How are you? Because you're in a sales position that relies heavily on selling something in order for you to get paid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the thing is, I rely personally on my background, and I don't sell that. I sell logistics. I sell results
Mm-hmm.
and solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the thing is that these people that are coming out that are taking that leap of faith, oh, you have like a salary based compensation with incentives on the commission side, like a corporate incentive of maybe 4%, and then commissions of maybe 6%, and then a salary of 50,000 or something like that. I do get that kind of stuff, but I'm a firm believer. Listen, I'll give you great commission if you're good at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that. It doesn't rely on me. It relies on you.
Right.
Can
We can
you do
tell.
this?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question. Can you do this? The first year I was in business, I made $9,000. A lot of people would have bailed,
Yeah.
right? And I didn't make that much revenue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been making $1 million a year, not in my pocket, but I'm saying
Right.
revenue, because I'm
Right.
finding the way to do things.
Exactly.
When your back is against a wall and you have to provide, you got to figure it out.
Figure it out.
And I'm not an expert, and I hate to say this, but again, my integrity and honesty is first and foremost. There's no one out there that's an expert in what they do. If they are know-it-all. And if you're
Right.
not learning every single day in logistics, in any one part of it from cradle to grave, you're going to get left behind. I don't care who you are. So don't tell me that you're an expert in something because you haven't learned what's being produced or created tomorrow. You haven't learned that yet. So
That
no,
is
you're
true.
not. You're only as good as the knowledge that you retain today. So
Yeah.
use that to help yourself move forward. I don't know what your thoughts on that is, but I firmly believe that there are no experts. There's no way.
I know, I couldn't agree more. And I think it gets into like this topic of, priorities with hiring. And in a lot of companies, you've got your hard skills, which are your technical and learned and transferable. You're great at Excel, you know how to use a WMS, you're good at Tableau. And a lot of companies get very fixated on these hard skills. Like, I'm buying the certification, I'm buying the, 10,001 hours of learning. But hard skills are unpredictable. Like, we may live and die by Microsoft Excel right now. In 5 years, who knows if Excel's even going to be a thing? And AI could take over. And that's why soft skills, which technically are personality traits and characteristics, and you're reliable, you're analytical, you're strategic. That's the future of hiring, because that's your core, that's your soul. That's not going to
Being
change.
being tactful too. I mean,
Exactly.
you can't leave that out. And when you mention AI, I just kind of laugh because there's so many different things that are missing from AI that I don't believe in. First, there's the EQ side of it,
Mhm.
emotional
100%.
intelligence, which they don't have. They don't have a heart. They don't have a soul. So
Mhm.
it's a machine learning. It's ML. What
Right.
it get go garbage in and garbage out. It feeds.
Exactly.
The thing is that how do you sell? You sell like a robot. You want emotional or experience hands-on in the trench work. I'm sorry, but there ain't a machine out there that has that technology that can take that from where it was way back when we didn't have computers or cell phones. You had Nextel and you had fax machines and all of this, and you saw the evolution and everything growing every single year, decade after decade. I had that luxury of doing it. We have so far to go that I just can't see that. I just can't see it taking over that human aspect of logistics. I can't
It
fathom
won't. Exactly.
it.
And that's why the soft skills will be forever valuable and the hard skills may be extinct one day. Like that's great that you know how to use that program inside and out, but is it going to be important in the future? And we don't know what tomorrow holds.
Right. It's that tone.
Hmm.
Like the way that I'm talking, I know my own self because I'm getting excited. You can hear that. You can hear that tone, that deflection, uh,
Yeah.
that an AI or an ML just doesn't have. It's just monotone, straight across the board. There's no feeling. There's no soul in it.
No relationship.
Logistics is based on soul. It's based on heart. It's based on experience. It's based on logics, not machine logics, but it's logics of having that intuition of being able to do the right thing at the right time. That's the whole thing. You just in logistics, you can't just, you know, think about what has to be done and go through all the situations, right? Sometimes you just have to be able to go to that toggle switch and hit it
Yeah.
immediately because every minute, every half an hour, you're losing millions of dollars if you don't have that understanding of being able to do that.
Logical
Machine, I
decision.
don't like. I don't know, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah. But we'll come back and revisit that one.
Yeah. So the last question is over the last year or so, percentage wise, work environment request for employees this remote, has it changed from a year or two ago? Where are we from a CS recruiting point of view?
Yeah, I can share some stats, some current stats, and I don't have a year ago, but I have an idea of where they were. So in our industry, these are really interesting stats. In our industry, as of about a month ago, about 4% of the jobs posted on LinkedIn were remote. So think of only looking at LinkedIn, which is a very good representation of the market,
Sure.
of all the jobs in logistics, transportation, supply chain, warehousing, you name it, 4% were offered as remote jobs. About a year ago, that was somewhere between like, I'm going to say 16 to 20%. So
Hmm.
it's dropped dramatically. Hybrid is 6% right now, and that was probably closer to 20, 22%. And right now, on site is the balance of 90%. So no question that the majority of the jobs right now, employers are gravitating back towards on site. Where it gets really interesting is that there are only 4% of those jobs are remote, but those are getting 46% of the applications. So
Ah,
people are going on LinkedIn and looking, and the 4% of the whole job pool is getting almost 50% of the applications. So it's a very clear imbalance in the market. And what it tells me is that the hiring companies are really leaning out and they're pulling back and moving back towards on site. But the job seekers, whether they're employed or unemployed, it doesn't matter. They're the ones applying. They are leaning hard into the remote opportunities. There's just not a lot of them to go around. So I mean, those stats to me are mind blowing that
hmm.
such a small percentage of the jobs are getting almost half of all the attention. And that's what every job seeker, it's just like, the real estate market or a load board. They're all competing for that real estate. But that's the one simple change they need to make if they really want to attract the right audience is offer remote, offer some flexibility. That's what's catching attention right now.
That is extremely interesting, and I'm just going to use some logics here. I think the economy has a lot to do with that because of inflation, and people don't want to spend that extra money on clothes and perfume and makeup and doing their hair and clothes and tolls and
Mhm.
gas, all of that. And that's the reason why they're starting to gravitate at 50% to those minimal remote jobs that are available to put more money back in their pocket.
Probably money and time. There's no question.
That's uh, that's very interesting. I'd love to see what happens for the next quarter and how that kind of translates, and if we're going to see even more momentum in that, or will it swing to the other way? I'm curious.
If it swings, I'm gonna guess it's only gonna be more job seekers applying to those remote roles as we get into winter and people don't want to leave their homes and the commutes are treacherous. But I'll keep you posted. I'll let you know what I see out there.
Yeah, I'm curious because I'd love to see those numbers because I think that will be like the tail of the tape in the way that things are starting to swing.
Yeah,
Especially they're saying with this bear market that we're looking probably into the late second quarter of 2024. I know that's so far off. It's bad out there. It really,
yeah. We need
really
balance a lot
is
sooner than
bad.
yeah,
And if you can sell, if you can sell in this market and fill your pipeline with revenue, you're good. You're
exactly.
really, really good.
You're
And,
hired.
and you are setting yourself up for success, not for this year, but for 2024, because you're putting yourself into position A to be able to respond quickly to their needs when the market flips.
Exactly. Very much so.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. We had a great conversation. I definitely want to do this again. I find a lot of fun in our conversations, so I hope
Me
you come
too.
back.
I would love to. We'll come up with a new topic next time. I'm sure we'll have plenty to rant about. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And folks out there, a few events that are coming up this October on the 12th and 13th. The Carrier Broker or Broker Carrier Summit in Tampa. I will be down there as a speaker at this event. Uh, Great topics, great agenda. We have a lot of really, really good sponsors. So if you are a broker or a carrier, even a shipper, you want to come down there and learn about collaboration and how to make things work a lot better than what they're working today, especially in the bear market, I would highly recommend that you come down and join us. Go online, register, look at what we have to offer. I'm sure that you will love it. So with that said, thank you so much, Charlie. I will talk to everybody soon. Please, if you like, please subscribe and share the Storytelling Chronicles. We're on live every single Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with that said, Bodacious Cowboy is out. Enjoy the rest of your week, folks. Thank you so much. Have it. Another logistics life and lesson learned. Until next time.